Hi everybody, AstroTarotJohn here, and this is your one tarot card daily pull for Friday, January 16th, 2026. And on this particular Six of Cups card, it's the Overflow and Barfy Barbies from the Garbage Pail Kids. Okay, Gen Xers, I know this is a serious throwback. This is back when this was a response to the Cabbage Patch Kids of the 1980s. This is the kind of dark, sinister counterculture response to the wholesomeness of the Cabbage Patch Kids who were growing in the garden and all that. I don't need to give you any nightmares over those. But the Six of Cups is the card that we drew today, and I figured I would pull out one of my decks that I don't use very often, and of course the Garbage Pail Kids was the one that fell to hand appropriately enough. The Six of Cups is a card that often represents goodwill or childhood or nostalgia. It also brings out this idea of innocence, and it often focuses on childhood and maturity, or the lack thereof in some cases. In some contexts, it can also represent the idea of pregnancy. So depending on where it comes up, it can indicate a number of different things, but often representing childhood or innocence. In any case, for advice for us, one of the things that I want you to think about is your own childhood. So when people come to see me at my tarot table, they often find that they have lost something from their childhood. So my first piece of advice to you today is to think about your childhood and some hobby or interest that you had in your childhood that you don't have anymore. And think about maybe possibly bringing some of it back in your adulthood. Many of you have more time now. A lot of you certainly have more money now. And you have the ability to bring back a hobby or interest that you had when you were younger and bring it back into your life. Many times we need more of a creative outlet. We need something interesting that we can be doing as adults. And so my first piece of advice would be give yourself the opportunity to enjoy something that you used to enjoy. The second part of what I'm about to say today would be for you to think about how you respond to the situations in your world. Are you responding like an adult, or are you responding like a child? We all have people around us who want to kind of blame everybody else. They want to kind of stamp their feet and have a temper tantrum. And that's all well and good, and we all have days like that. But we often pull this card in the tarot for people around us who are acting like children and not acting like adults. So my second piece of advice to you today is make sure that you are acting like an adult in the situations in which you need to be an adult. And sometimes when you can act like a kid, act like a kid. You know, if you have the opportunity to jump in a swimming pool and do a cannonball, do that. But know when the situation is appropriate for you to act like an adult and when the situation is appropriate enough for you to act like a kid. Know the difference and act accordingly. Finally, understand the value of nostalgia is my third piece of advice to you today. When you're feeling like something in your childhood or in your past is calling to you, ask yourself what value is there. What can you remember from there that you can use in your day-to-day life today? For me, because education is such a big part of my life, I often think about times during my middle school, high school years, college years, where I learned something that was of vital importance. And it wasn't necessarily in the classroom. I remember conversations I had with college professors or high school teachers that weren't necessarily during lessons. They were outside of class or shooting baskets or whatever it was. And I was able to talk to some of these people when we weren't in the classroom. And some of those conversations were just as valuable, if not more valuable, than things I learned from them in the classroom. So when you're feeling nostalgic, think about times when you learned something valuable that you can apply to your life today. And I think the Six of Cups brings all of those messages to the fore for us right now. In any case, thank you as always for watching this video. I truly appreciate your time. My name is AstroTarotJohn, and I look forward to seeing you across my tarot table soon, whether in person or virtually.